lot of guys deal with it, even though no one really talks about it. But
Ese es otro, Julio.
thousands of
Ese,
guys
tú dijiste, ¿quién tú dijiste que era?
they contain the same
Yo te dije que tú dijiste el otro.
just
Ismael
the
Miranda.
process is simple. You just go to the website, fill out an intake
El
form.
primero era Ismael, ¿verdad?
Recommend the right treatment for you and your needs. No in-person doctor visits, no pharmacy pickups, and if prescribed, they deliver it straight to your door in
¿Quién?
discreet packaging. So if you're tired of
Ay.
dealing with weak erections, try Hard Mints today.
Y esta hora y yo le pues salgo para allá ahora mismo, le digo, no vengas porque ya lo estabilizamos, pero cuando venga en la mañana, le queremos avisar que está entubado y es para que usted no se asuste en la forma en que lo va a ver. Y cuando yo llego,
Por lo menos esa la llamaron. Yo me enteré por leyendo los récords.
y sí es bien impresionante.
I'm assuming you gave him photographs of what you looked like prior to this car accident.
Mr. Baker is feeling about it, is entitled his opinion.
Hello.
A man walks into court wearing a mask because he's too embarrassed to show his face. Why? Because after a revolutionary dental procedure, his teeth are falling out, his gums are infected, and he can barely speak. He trusts a well-known dentist with a smile. Paid thousands of
Continue in
dollars,
progress.
and now he's suing for $22,000.
Continue in progress. I mean, work in progress.
On solid foods,
Look at this.
Mr. Baker
Beautiful.
claims he waited until week 3, a full week
Beautiful.
longer than required, before eating a turkey sandwich. That's
Beautiful,
when his teeth
beautiful,
started
beautiful.
falling out. But Dr. Navro is claiming his staff saw a video of Mr. Baker eating barbecue ribs just 2 days after the procedure. These are completely contradictory. One of them is a lie.
Hello,
Mr. Baker
hello.
really did violate the recovery protocol after just 2 days. That could explain the failure. But if he followed the rules and his teeth still fell out, that's entirely on the doctor. The truth is somewhere in this mess.
Did you advise Dr. Navarro that there was an issue about that your teeth were falling out?
Yes.
I let him know and Dr. Navarro, when he told you that, what did you say?
I told him, Mr. Porter, I told him the same thing I tell everybody. I have been doing this procedure now on many people, very famous celebrities, influencers here in the Mago Park
You've
community.
been doing this procedure?
I have been doing it for on and off for about 3 years now.
This procedure?
This particular procedure, yes, sir.
Wait a minute.
And this is the first
Wait,
time I hear
Dr.
of
Navarro, wait a minute.
Okay.
You've been doing this procedure for 3 years.
Correct.
But this is a revolutionary procedure.
Yes,
For 3 years?
yes. Science works very slow, Your Excellency. It's not
I
overnight.
understand that, but I would imagine within those 3 years, somebody would have said, yes, this works.
Thank you, Vera.
No, this doesn't work.
Yes, there have been cases
Yeah.
where it hasn't worked.
This is number
Yes. Not every-
number
every
13.
human being is teeth are-
Number
are-
13.
Every tooth is different.
I understand.
There have been people that have had some teeth falling out.
I understand.
Part of the trial.
And
Hello.
everybody reacts differently to the same
Yes.
procedures. I understand that,
Yes.
but my concern is if this is still a revolutionary procedure, right?
Yes.
That means that there's still question marks as to whether it will work or not. And apparently, it appears that in his case, it
Oh no, I buy them and I build them.
Yes, and he signed the
I buy
waiver.
them like this
This is a revolutionary trial process.
and I build them.
He did it very well when he signed the waiver. I did not put a gun to his head so he can sign the waiver.
This is very easy. Believe it or not, it's very easy. Follow the instructions. It comes with instructions. Look, it comes with the instructions that you need. How you build each layer. You start from the bottom up, build each layer, and it tells you where each piece falls into on top of the other one. You see? Follow this line.
Yes, and what did they say? They let me know that I actually caught
Yeah, but it's very easy.
a bacterial disease that
You just have to make sure that you follow the instructions,
That's a type of infection.
and it will work.
Procedure.
yeah. So now
It will work.
just my teeth, my gums were affected.
Did you
And the
explain
pieces, they will come like this.
He wasn't listening. That's what we're here.
Did he explain that to you, sir?
Those little pieces.
And what did you say?
I told him, well, again, let's talk. I told him, okay, I hear you, but let's talk common sense. He did not follow the rules of the waiver. Again, I wish I had the video. I don't have the video. He's an adult man.
If it's 2 weeks and he engaged in a solid 3 weeks, it sounds to me like he did follow.
Yes, that's what he says.
Yes, it's very nice. Yeah, it's very relaxing. I also do diamond painting, and it's very nice. It's very relaxing.
Yes, I tried to rectify the situation the best way I could. I talked to
This
Mr.
one is
Baker.
kind of like trying to figure out what is like whatever little thing it is. I think this is a crab. I think this is an apple tree.
Man has a bacterial infection.
I'm not sure if this is an elephant,
Dr. Navarro's response
some type of snowman or
without
something.
waivers that people don't understand. A waiver can protect you from liability when procedure doesn't work as expected, but it does not protect you from negligence or failing to provide proper follow-up.
I'm a mom, a grandma, and a great grandma.
That's a complication that requires medical intervention, not verbal counseling. And Judge Porter is clearly picking up on this. The question isn't just whether the procedure worked, it's whether Dr. Navarro did everything in his power to help when things went wrong. So far, it sounds like he didn't.
Asking
He
is,
signed away.
yeah, but you're talking about a revolutionary procedure.
Yes.
And you're seeing that, man, this didn't work. Let me see if I can rectify this for him. This is not a common procedure that I'm doing. Let me see if I can rectify it for him, or maybe I can make a recommendation that you try someone else.
Well, I am
Are
willing.
you paying this out of pocket or this insurance?
The insurance covered a good percentage, but I had to pay the rest.
But you have to pay a certain
If I may,
copay.
if I may,
Yes,
I
sir.
am willing to work with Mr. Baker and help him fix his teeth. But he came to me very defensive, saying that he went to a bacterial specialist, whatever that means. In the
Have you seen his mouth?
Yes, I have seen his mouth, but that is when you take risks in science, things like this can happen. And the case that I'm trying to make here is that Mr. Baker knew that this was a trial process. This is not
¿Qué?
regulated by the
¿Qué pasó?
How
Pagó.
fix this? How can we fix it? Well, I am willing to work with Mr. Baker.
In what way?
And he can come to my clinic, and I will do the work necessary to hopefully, again, you look at his teeth. I don't think even David Copperfield can fix his teeth, but I can try to revert them back to the
He
best
is
shape I
suing
can.
you.
But I will charge him money.
Sir, you say you're a club promoter?
Yes, sir. I'm co-owner.
Okay. He is suing you for $22,000.
That's outrageous, man. $22,000 for something I didn't do.
How much is this type of procedure cost?
The procedure itself,
Yeah.
20 total. About 22,000. Between $20,000 to $25,000. Yes.
Okay, he's suing you for the procedure going astray. He's also suing you for the pain and suffering. I don't know about what the situation's like because how old are you?
27.
He's a young man, very young man. I'm pretty sure that it's embarrassing for him, especially when he's trying to talk to a girl. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. That word. It's a bad look. It's a bad look. Here is what I'm going to propose. It's going to be one of two things. You can either grant him $22,000, I rule in his favor, okay, or use that $22,000 and fix his mouth. Now, on that second part, that falls on you. Do you want him to do it, or do you prefer, are you more comfortable going to somewhere else?
I don't want to touch my teeth.
In that case, then, I'm going to rule in his favor for $22,000.
Hold up one minute. You just said you gave me to work.
No, I also said that he wants it. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want you around his mouth anymore. All right? He doesn't want you working on him in any form, shape, or fashion. I will grant you your $22,000. Okay? Now the procedure. Again, Dr. Navarro, I don't, clearly, I don't know dentistry. But I do know when you're dealing with something experimental, you run a great risk. And you run a great risk at your reputation. Now, with me, your reputation is solid. Okay? You are a good dentist. I appreciate this ruling against you is not changed that fact. But I recommend,
Okay.
and I'm sure you know other dentists who are using this procedure, you guys come up with something and say, hey, we need to improve this because somehow it didn't, why it didn't work for him, and I'm assuming it has worked for other people. You need to find out what that common denominator is, so everyone gets some type of satisfaction.
That's
Okay?
understandable. I am just concerned that perhaps he may have violated the agreement, and he was doing that in 2 days after. I can't prove it. I don't have the video. My girl doesn't have the video. But I saw him with my own eyes eating barbecue ribs and drinking a large can of red.
Yeah, but
2 days
can't,
after
you
the
can't
surgery.
tell me what the date was.
I can't prove it, unfortunately.
So unfortunately for you, sir, I'm going to rule in his favor, $22,000, and case is adjourned.
That hurts. Okay.
It came from about 2 weeks after I posted a throwback video on a Throwback Thursday from Instagram from a party from years ago. And that must be the video Mr. Navarro was talking about. He's a liar, he's a manipulator. He's not a man of his word at all. Please do not go there. That's on my teeth. Don't go there. Save your money.
People of Mango Bar, first of all, I apologize for this drama. I just heard that the video that Mr. Baker posted was not 2 days after the surgery. It was actually a video he recorded years before. And it's something the younger people call a throwback. It's something, but it was a video that he did years ago, not 2 days after the surgery. So I'd like to apologize to Mr. Baker.
Hello.
George Porter, and most importantly, the people of Mango Park. And I will also be investing more money into scientific research to enhance this procedure. So don't fear coming to my practice. I will do my best to help you. I apologize. Have a good day, everybody.
And that is how you get justice in court. Let's recap this wild case. Sean Baker, a club owner nicknamed Smiley, or Dr. Emilio Navro after a car accident damaged his teeth. Dr. Navro recommended a revolutionary procedure from Brazil that was still in the trial process and not FDA approved. Mr. Baker paid between $20,000 and $25,000, signed a waiver, and hoped for the best. The result? His teeth started falling out. He developed a bacterial infection in his gums. He was left so embarrassed that he wore a mask to court. When Judge Porter asked to see his teeth, his reaction, "What the hell is that?" told us everything we needed to know. Dr. Navro's defense, he claimed Mr. Baker violated the recovery protocol by eating barbecue ribs 2 days after surgery. But here's the twist he posted. That video was actually a throwback Thursday post from years ago. Dr. Navro even apologized after learning the truth.
Okay, so this is
About the video, the ruling. Judge Porter awarded Mr. Baker the full $22,000. He gave Dr. Navro a choice. Fix him out himself or pay up. But Mr. Baker trusted Dr. to touch his teeth. That was that. But here's what makes this case.
Ay,
Judge
por poquito te lo creo.
Dr. Navro's reputation. He acknowledged he was a good dentist, but warned him about the risks of experimental procedures. He advised
So
Dr.
I think this is the beginning of the
procedure and figure out why it failed. The lesson? Waivers don't protect you from everything.
so I'm thinking about doing
And when something goes wrong, verbal counseling.
wait.
Mr. Baker got his money.
I think I skipped one somewhere.
Reality check. And we all learned something about the risks of cutting-edge dentistry. If you found this
Yeah, I
case
think I skipped
shocking,
one somewhere.
make sure to smash that like button and drop your thoughts in the comments. Would you trust an experimental procedure that's not FDA?
Yeah, I skipped one.
Share this video with anyone considering cosmetic dental work. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more jaw-dropping
Why didn't I
content
forget to
from
put it?
dentists. Until next time,
I didn't do it.
remember, always read fine print. And maybe think twice twice before trusting a revolutionary procedure with your smile.
Yeah. I hear you. I did it the other day too. I did it the other day too with somebody else. I don't know how I skipped this step. Hi. I was so into like the fact that I did a little bridge is just like hello, hello.
I watched the #1 family movie in America. Will you not be?
Oh, I wanted to see that movie so bad. David.
Are you ready for a great adventure? David, buy tickets now.
Jefferson Einstein Philadelphia Hospital delivers comprehensive and accessible maternity care in your community. With OBGYNs, certified nurse midwives, specialists if needed, a level 3 NICU, and critical and surgical care on site, Jefferson will be with you for every step of your journey to parenthood and every what if. Call 215-456-7180 to learn more.
You know, TikTok is acting very stupid lately. I was there last night, and they gave me a violation because I wasn't moving. I was literally building, moving, putting this together, blocks and blocks and blocks, and because I wasn't moving, like they say something about still picture. I don't know what the hell. Like
Costumes and decorations.
I was there.
It's a certain
I was there.
emotion.
What makes people nostalgic?
Exactly.
Sometimes they act like they're really giving you so much money, and they're just like, I don't know. I don't know.
It makes them feel good. It makes them want to buy raffle tickets and bid in the silent auction.
We don't have a silent auction.
Yet, we don't have a silent auction.
A lot of people are dropping them. They're going to some places. I don't know what is the name of the place though. Not sure what is the name of the app. I don't know what it is. Oh, and thank you for the numbers. Thank you very much. I wish you lots of luck. Lots of luck. Oh, really? Really? That's plain. That's plain. Okay, say no more. That's plain why they acting so stupid. That's plain everything. Okay, lower this. Not good at all. Not good at all. Mm, estoy buscando una novela por aquí. Little story. Little story. Mm, okay. Ay, it's funny because when I think I get somebody my name to find me on YouTube. They say it was hard because every time they type my name, a lot of names came out like that. So that's why I have to add it something else. Why is not talking? Trying to look for a stories. It's funny because my dad was telling me that he likes those stories too. Uh, he's okay. He just he has this I don't know. I hope he finds um um find himself to, I don't know.
Messy happens. When it does, there's Home Glow. For just $19, Home Glow will clean your entire house. Everything from dishes to vacuuming, even laundry. Join thousands of Americans and book your first cleaning today for just $19.
I know it's gonna be hard. Yeah. Yeah, definitely he does. Definitely he does. He's
Two, the way silence replaced laughter at dinner. So when Mark suggested a weekend getaway to the mountains, Emily took it as a sign of hope. Maybe they could find each other again, away from the noise of work and worry. She packed carefully, choosing his favorite coffee, Ethan's hiking boots, and the red scarf she hadn't worn since their happier days. The drive up was quiet but peaceful. Tall pine trees lined the road, and the soft hum of the radio filled the spaces between them.
creating this little bridge really
Emily
helped a
glanced at
lot.
Mark, who was focused on the road, his phone resting in the cup holder. He looked calm, even relaxed. She wanted to believe that meant something. Spider, Ethan leaned his head against the window, watching the mountains grow larger.
Really did
It's
help a lot.
beautiful, he murmured. Emily smiled, trying to match his excitement.
Super.
It is, she said softly. It's just what we need. The cabin sat beside a clear lake that reflected the blue sky like glass.
Super, 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 super.
Birds chirped from nearby trees, and the air smelled of pine and damp earth. Emily stepped out of the car and took a deep breath. For a
Yeah, but I
moment,
said
she
that I'm
felt
gonna
the
build this
tension lift.
separately, right?
Maybe this could really work.
I'm just gonna see what.
She started unpacking, setting the table for dinner while Mark checked his phone again. She noticed it, but said nothing. Instead, she called out, "Ethan, help me get the firewood, sweetheart." Her voice carried a cheerful tone.
Yeah, I'm gonna mark this.
That evening, they cooked together grilled chicken, roasted potatoes, and marshmallows by the fire. The glow from the flames made everything look warm and perfect. Ethan laughed when his marshmallow caught fire, waving it around. Emily laughed too, her heart swelling at the sound. It'd been so long since she'd heard him laugh like that. Mark smiled faintly, but kept glancing at his phone. When it buzzed, he stood up quickly. "I'll take this outside," he said, walking toward the dark edge of the forest. Emily watched him go, pretending not to care. After dinner, when Mark returned, she asked gently, "Was it work again?" He nodded, sitting beside her. "Yeah, just some last-minute reports." His words sounded casual, practiced. Emily forced a small smile. "You work too hard," she said. He chuckled, not meeting her eyes. Someone has to. Then he kissed
So
her
yeah,
forehead
so I think
lightly,
I'm gonna
like an
start
old habit before heading to bed.
building.
When the house went
Out
quiet,
of-
Emily stayed by the window,
Have to see
staring at
which
the
one
lake.
is coming next.
The
Hold on.
moon floated on the surface like silver glass. She hugged her knees and tried to remember the last time Mark had looked at her with warmth. It had been months, maybe a year. Something inside her whispered that he was slipping away, but she refused to listen. This trip was supposed to bring them closer. It couldn't be falling apart already. She thought about the woman she used to be young, full of laughter, dreaming of adventures with Mark. Life had been easy back then. They were partners in everything. Now they barely shared a conversation. She wondered when exactly they had stopped talking and started pretending. The cabin creaked softly.
I'm gonna see
in the
how far I
wind.
can
Emily turned off the
can
lights
go
and sat alone in the dark,
putting it together.
letting the silence wrap around her. It
Gonna
wasn't
see.
peaceful anymore. It felt hollow. She could hear the faint rhythm of Mark's voice outside again low, hurried, like a secret. She tried to convince herself it was just work. People call late sometimes, right? But a small ache began to form in her chest. Something wasn't right. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the curtains, painting the room in gold. Mark was already outside, chopping wood, looking normal as ever. Emily decided to shake off the doubts. She made breakfast pancakes, bacon, and orange juice and called them both to eat. Mark complimented her cooking. Ethan cracked a joke, and for a moment, it almost felt
So
like
I'm
old
just gonna.
times. After breakfast, Ethan suggested a hike. Mark agreed, though he seemed distracted. They climbed up a small trail behind the cabin, surrounded by tall trees and birdsong. Emily walked
You
behind
have to
them,
be
watching her
careful with
husband and
this.
son laugh together. She smiled, grateful for that small piece of happiness. When they reached a clearing,
I'm gonna see how far I can go without.
pictures of the lake below. Emily turned to Mark, her voice quiet. "Do you ever miss how things used to be?" Mark hesitated. "We've both changed. Life's different now." She nodded, unsure what to say next. He put his hand on her shoulder for a moment, a gesture that felt more like comfort than love. Then his phone buzzed again, stepped away, answering it quickly. Emily's stomach tightened, but she forced herself to focus on the view instead of the voice she could hear in the distance. Later that afternoon, while Mark went to check the car, Ethan helped his mom prepare lunch. He was quieter than usual, glancing at her every so often. Finally, he asked softly, "Mom, are you and Dad okay?" Emily froze for a second, caught off guard. She turned, trying to hide her surprise behind a gentle smile. Why do you ask? He shrugged, looking down. I don't know. You just seem sad. Her throat tightened. I'm just tired, she whispered, brushing his hair back. Trips take a lot out of moms, you know? Smiled weakly, but his eyes told her he didn't believe her. That night, as the fire crackled outside, Emily sat on the porch wrapped in a blanket. The air was cool,
Oh.
carrying the scent of pine and smoke. Inside, she could hear Mark talking.
Oh, I'm
on
using
his phone
this
again.
because this is really
His
like,
voice was soft but urgent.
it's easier for
filled
me
with
to
words she
look
couldn't
at the
quite make out.
screen
She turned
for
her
the
eyes toward the
instructions.
stars, letting her mind drift. She wanted to believe this was just a phase, that love could
I
still
am
survive
cold.
silence and distance. When Mark came outside, she pretended to be half asleep. He sat down beside her, looked at the lake and said, "You okay?" She nodded, whispering, "Just tired." He smiled faintly, stood and kissed her forehead before going inside. Emily stayed there long after he was gone, listening to the sound of the water brushing against the shore. The trip had only just begun, but something deep in her heart told her that whatever came next would change everything. She didn't know how or when, but she could feel it like a storm
And this is the
quietly
base, the
forming
best
in
way
the
to do it.
distance.
You stack them
She
together on
closed
top
her
of each
eyes,
other,
wrapped the
and it's
blanket tighter,
easier to push
and whispered
down.
to herself, "We'll be okay." But even she didn't believe it. Somewhere behind her, the cabin light flickered, and inside, her son was still awake, watching both of them with a worried heart. The night felt too quiet, too heavy with unspoken truths. And as the wind moved through the trees, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this family trip wasn't about fixing what was broken. It was about finding out just how broken things already were. The second morning at the cabin began with golden sunlight streaming through the windows, but Emily felt no warmth. She had slept little, her mind chasing thoughts she didn't want to face. Mark was already outside, talking on his phone near the lake. From the kitchen window, she watched him pace back and forth, smiling in a way she hadn't seen in months. Rhyme, relaxed, and not directed at her. Her stomach twisted, but she forced herself to look away. Today had to be better. She wouldn't let her doubts ruin the trip. Ethan came downstairs, his hair messy, still half asleep. "Morning, Mom," he said, rubbing his eyes. She smiled weakly, placing a plate of pancakes in front of him. "Morning, sweetheart. Did you sleep okay?"
This short stories on Google. I mean on YouTube.
"Who's Dad calling again?" he asked casually.
You know, Papi
Emily
likes
tried
to listen
keep
to
her
those
tone
things
calm.
too, but in Spanish.
"Probably someone from work. Do you know
Dice,
your
yo me
dad?"
paso leyendo,
But she didn't
oyendo las
know anymore.
novelitas esas.
That realization stung.
A
A few
veces
minutes
duran
later,
una
Mark
hora.
walked back in, pocketing his phone
He's so
quickly.
funny.
"Sorry," he said, flashing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Urgent call from the office. He kissed Emily's forehead and sat down to eat. She said nothing, just pushed her food around her plate. The breakfast table felt heavy with quiet tension. When Mark announced he was going to get more firewood from a shop down the road, Ethan offered to come along, but Mark shook his head. "It's fine, buddy. Won't be long." As the car drove off, Emily started clearing the table. Ethan hesitated by the doorway, frowning. "Mom," he said softly, "can we talk for a second?" His tone made her stop. She turned to him. "Of course." He walked over, holding something in his hand, Mark's phone. "I didn't mean to look," he said quickly, guilt flashing across his face. "It buzzed when you were washing dishes, and I thought it was an emergency. But it wasn't." Emily felt her heart start to race. "What do you mean?" He handed her the phone. The screen was still lit with a text message. The words were simple, but they burned through her chest like fire. "Wish you were here instead of with them. Miss you already." The name at the top was unfamiliar. Emily stared at it for a long moment, her breath catching in her throat. She felt the world tilt slightly, like the ground beneath her had shifted. Ethan spoke again, his voice shaking. "I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't want to hurt you.
There's other ones there,
I couldn't pretend I didn't see it."
that the elder,
Emily's hands trembled as she locked the phone and placed it on the counter.
cuando,
She looked at
oh,
her son, his face full of worry, innocence mixed with pain.
I arrived home unannounced to find my wife sleeping on the doormat in the freezing rain, wearing rags. My son-in-law wiped his muddy designer shoes on her sleeve and laughed, telling his wealthy guests she was just the crazy maid who liked to sleep outside like a dog. I did not scream. I stepped out of the shadows, and the laughter died instantly because he was wearing the $1,200 shoes I bought him, but he was about to pay a price higher than his life. If you are listening to this and you think you know the people you love, take a second look. My name is Harrison Prescott. I am 72 years old, and for 40 years I ran one of the largest logistics networks on the East Coast.
That little bridge that I just created, it was beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
The worst deal I ever made was trusting my
It
family.
was beautiful.
The rain was hammering against the roof of the taxi as we pulled up the long gravel
That
driveway.
piece is not going anywhere, anywhere, anywhere.
Dull throbbing ache. A reminder of the triple bypass surgery I had undergone secretly in a private clinic in Zurich 6 months ago. I had told no one about the severity of my condition. Not my wife Beatrice, not my daughter Emily, and certainly not Braden, my son-in-law. I wanted to protect them from worry. I wanted to handle it alone like I handled everything in my life. I paid the driver in cash and told him to keep the change. I stood there for a moment
Next
in the
piece.
darkness, letting
Next
the rain
piece.
soak into my
Next
coat.
piece.
I looked up at the house. I bought this property 3 years ago for $4.5 million. It was a gift for Emily, but mostly it was intended as a sanctuary for Beatrice and me in our twilight years. It was supposed to be quiet.
This one.
It was supposed to be a home.
Oh, where?
But tonight, the windows were blazing with light. The bass from a sound system rattled the double oak front doors. Expensive cars lined the driveway like a showroom. Ferraris, Porsches,
Ferraris.
Bentleys. It looked like a
Ferraris.
nightclub, not a home. I felt a surge of irritation. I had explicitly told Braden no parties while I was gone. I wanted Beatrice to have peace. I limped toward the front porch. My legs were still weak from months of bed rest and physical therapy. The wind howled off the Atlantic Ocean, cutting through my clothes.
Okay.
As I climbed the stone steps, I saw a bundle of something lying on the welcome mat right next to the door.
¿El qué?
At first, I thought it was a
Que
bottle
estaban busy hoy.
or maybe a large dog bed that had been left out in the storm. I
Que
moved
estaban
closer,
bien
sweating
busy hoy.
The bundle moved. It shivered. I froze. It was a person. A small, frail person curled into a fetal position, trying desperately to conserve heat. They were covered in a dirty, oversized gray sweatshirt that looked like it had been pulled from a dumpster. The person was clutching something tightly to their chest. I knelt down, ignoring the sharp pain in my surgical scars. I reached out a trembling hand and pulled back the hood of the sweatshirt. The air left my lungs. It was Beatrice, my wife of 50 years, the woman who had stood by my side when I was a truck driver earning minimum wage, the woman who wore pearls with the grace of a queen. She was unrecognizable.
Something is
Her
not.
silver hair was matted and filthy.
I hold on to
Her
see
face
something.
was gaunt, the skin stretched tight over her cheekbones like parchment paper. She smelled of urine and old garbage. Her lips were blue from the cold.
Okay.
Beatrice, I whispered, my voice cracking. She did not open her eyes. She whimpered and pulled the object in her hands closer.
So, did I
saw
miss
what it
one
was.
here?
It was a heel of stale bread hard as a rock. She was holding it like it was a diamond. Beatrice, it is me.
Oh, I pushed it.
It is Harrison.
Oh, I pushed it too
She
hard.
flinched away from my touch. She muttered something incoherent, a string of terrified sounds that made no sense. She did not know who I was. She looked at me with the eyes of a hunted animal. Before I
No.
could process the horror of what I was seeing, the heavy
You know, I have to say, like, these ones are, so far, they're being very nice to push down. Not all the time, but so far, so good. Like, no, I have to be careful how much I force this. Oh, I think, okay, I think I know what I did here.
Behind him were 3 men and 2 women, all dressed in evening wear, holding champagne flutes. Braden took a deep breath of the night air, smiling.
I really think this one doesn't belong here, though.
Great party, Braden, one of the men said, clapping him on the shoulder. You really outdid yourself this
I
time.
don't really think
The
it
real
belongs
estate market
there.
must be
So
booming.
let me see what is the next step.
Braden laughed.
And I see.
You know me. I have the golden touch. He took a step forward, and then he looked down. He saw Beatrice curled up on the mat. He did not look surprised. He did not look concerned. He looked annoyed.
I think this one doesn't go
He
here.
looked at my wife.
I'm just gonna leave it for a minute, but I don't think it goes there.
Ugh, watch your step, folks, Braden said loudly, his voice dripping with mock apology. He lifted his right
But I need glue. I need the what is that? It's 65, it's 69, or A, whatever.
and then right in
I
front
need
of my
that.
eyes, he placed the sole of his shoe on the shoulder of my wife's dirty sweatshirt. He dragged his foot down her arm.
Oye, no cogí ni un numerito en la loto.
Onto her.
Ni un numerito.
Braden, what is that? One of the women asked, wrinkling her nose in disgust. Is
Ni
that a
un
person?
numerito.
Braden laughed again. Oh, don't pay any attention to that. That is just the old maid. She is completely senile.
No se lo ganaron, ¿verdad?
She refuses to sleep inside. She
¿Verdad que
thinks
cuando se lo vayan a ganar, se lo va a ganar alguien de California?
she'll sleep out here because
Nunca
she
falla.
owns the furniture. The guests
Nunca falla.
trembled nervously.
Va a ser alguien de California.
The woman said. She is fine, Braden said, taking a sip of his scotch. She likes it. It's part of her condition. Come on, let us go by the pool. I want to show you the plans for the new wing I am building. He kicked Beatrice lightly in the ribs. Not hard enough to break a bone, but hard enough to say move. Get out of the way, you old hag, Braden hissed. Beatrice let out a small cry and scrambled backward on her hands and knees, pressing herself against the brick wall, trying to make herself invisible. My vision went red. A cold, dark rage flooded my veins, replacing the weakness in my body. I forgot about the pain in my chest. I forgot about the cane I was using. I felt the strength of the man who used to load cargo ships with his bare hands return to me. I stepped out from behind the pillar. The porch light hit my face. Braden was mid-laugh, turning back to his guests. He froze. The cigar slipped from his fingers and hit the stone floor with a soft hiss. The color drained from his face so fast, it looked like his blood had evaporated. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. The guests stopped laughing. They looked from Braden to me, sensing the sudden shift in the atmosphere. The music from inside seemed to fade into the background. I stood there, the rain dripping from the brim of my hat onto my face. I looked at my wife cowering against the wall, clutching her piece of bread. And then I looked at the man I had welcomed into my family. I did not shout. I did not scream.
They're trying to see if I
My
can
voice was low, calm,
talk to Noah, but
terrifyingly steady. Braden
he didn't answer the phone.
He took a stumbling step back, almost tripping over Beatrice. H. Harrison, he stammered. Dad, you are supposed to be in Switzerland. You are supposed to be. Dead. I finished the sentence for him in my head, because that is what he looked like. He looked like he was seeing a ghost. I looked down at his feet. Those loafers cost $1,200, Braden, I said. He looked down at his shoes, then back up at me, his eyes wide with panic. But the price you were about to pay for what you just did. I continued taking a step closer. It's more expensive than your life. The glass of scotch slipped from his hand and shattered on the porch, sending shards of crystal
He was-
and amber liquid everywhere.
He was coughing a lot. He's like,
My
but
daughter appeared in the doorway behind me. She was wearing a
the funny thing, I think she was taking him back to the Crayola factory
She saw me,
today.
she grabbed the door frame to keep from collapsing. Daddy, she whispered. I looked at her. I looked at the diamonds around her neck. And then I looked back at her mother shivering in the mud. Get inside, I said. The party is over. Braden moved faster than a striking cobra. The fear on his face vanishing instantly, replaced by a mask of concern so thick it was suffocating. He rushed past me, scooping Beatrice up from the cold stone, as if he had not just kicked her ribs a moment ago. Dad. Oh my God. Dad. Why did
Era la
you do this?
mamá. Yo pensé que era la suegra.
His voice pitching up into
Motherfucker.
frantic worry.
Es que él no quiere beber nada. Yo lo estaba eso con Vicks.
My father-in-law
Yo le estaba poniendo Vicks por aquí detrás y por aquí detrás de la nuca.
he looked down
And
at
um
Beatrice, cradling
and he
her
was
very
sleeping
head
better
against
with
his
that.
expensive
After I did that,
without
he was
flinching
sleeping
at
better.
the smell.
But
Mom, oh Beatrice, you naughty girl. You know the doctor said 20 minutes for the cold therapy, not an hour. He looked at me with wide, innocent eyes that chilled my blood. It is a new holistic treatment, Harrison, for her circulation. She insists on doing it outside on the stone. We can barely stop her. I stood there leaning on my cane, watching it. It was a masterclass in gaslighting. He was rewriting reality in real time, covering his cruelty with a veneer of medical care. Come inside, Braden urged, gesturing to the guests to clear a path. You must be freezing.
oh,
Let
you
us get
see, you see,
warmed
you
up.
see, I pushed too
I
hard.
moved inside. The heat hit me first, a blast of artificial warmth, carrying the scent of expensive perfume
Wait, hold
and
on.
stale alcohol. I looked around
So
the great
it's
room,
you.
my room, my house.
Okay,
But it was not my house anymore.
hold on,
The
something is
hand-carved
not.
mahogany furniture I had imported from Italy, specifically for this space, was gone. The oil paintings of the Hudson River Valley that I had collected for 30 years were missing. In their place were gaudy gold-plated statues and white leather sofas that looked
Let me
like they
see.
belonged in a Miami nightclub, not a family estate. The walls had been repainted a jarring electric blue.
Something is
My
not
legacy had been
quite
stripped to
right
the studs,
because this is
replaced with cheap flash.
it's sitting too hollow.
Emily, my daughter, stood by the marble
Too,
fireplace.
too, too, too,
She was
too,
shaking
too,
slightly, her hand gripping a fresh
too.
glass of wine so hard her knuckles were white.
Yep,
I looked at her throat.
out
A
again.
diamond choker. The vintage Cartier piece I had bought Beatrice for our 40th anniversary.
Out
It
again.
was worth $50,000, and it was resting on Emily's neck. She saw me looking at it. Her hand flew up to cover the diamonds, but she did not take it off. She could not even look me in the eye. Hi, Daddy, she whispered, her voice trembling. You look thin. Where's my furniture?
Let me see something.
Emily. I asked, my voice calm, but inside I was screaming.
Hold on.
Where are your mother's doctors? Why does she look like a concentration camp survivor? Braden interrupted before she could answer gently. Depositing Beatrice onto one of the white sofas, where she curled up immediately, muddying the leather. We redecorated.
All right, let's see.
Dad modernized the place to increase the property value. You know how the market is.
So it's
Now the
supposed to be
doctors, they are expensive frauds. We are treating her holistically now.
on the white one.
Kale smoothies and fresh air. It is much better for her spirit. He was smiling that salesman smile, the one he used to close deals on condos that did not exist yet.
Okay.
I reached into my coat pocket. My fingers closed around the cold metal of my phone. I needed the police. I needed an ambulance. I needed to get Beatrice out of this house before morning. I am calling the authorities, I said, pulling the device out. My thumb hovering over the emergency button. This ends now. Braden lunged. He did not strike me. He was too smart for that, with witnesses around. Instead, he grabbed my wrist with a grip of iron, squeezing a pressure point that made my fingers go numb. He wrenched the phone from my hand with a speed that belied his drunkenness. No, 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 he said, shaking his head at the guests who were watching with morbid curiosity. See the anesthesia? He is paranoid. He thinks we are enemies. It is a side effect of the bypass post-operative delirium. He slipped my phone into his own pocket, patting it securely. I will keep this safe for you, Dad. You need rest. You are clearly not yourself. Give me my phone, Braden, I growled, trying to stand tall, but my chest was thin. My legs felt like lead. Gentleman, Braden snapped his fingers. Two men stepped out from the hallway leading to the kitchen. They were not my security detail. I had never seen them before. They were massive, wearing ill-fitting black suits with necks as thick as tree trunks and dead eyes. They moved with the heavy grace of hired muscle. Escort.
Se me acabaron los cranberries.
He needs quiet. No phone, no disturbances. He is very agitated. One of the men grabbed my arm. His fingers dug into my bicep. hitting a nerve that sent a shockwave of pain down to my hand. I tried to pull away, but I was weak, too weak to fight them off. I looked at Emily. She was my flesh and blood. I had paid for her college, her wedding, her first house view. Emily, I said, my voice rough. Stop this. Help me. She turned her back. She picked up her glass and stared into the fire, refusing to acknowledge the father being manhandled in her living room. The men did not drag me toward the grand staircase leading to the master bedroom on the second floor. They pulled me toward the narrow service door that led to the lower levels. My room is upstairs, I said, digging my heels into the plush carpet. Not anymore, Braden said, stepping close to me, his voice dropping to a whisper so only I could hear. The master suite is ours now. Dad, you get the guest quarters downstairs. It is quieter there, better for your condition. He winked. A slow, deliberate wink that told me exactly who was in charge. The guards hauled me backward. As we passed the large hallway mirror, I caught a glimpse of the group. Braden looking smug, adjusting his cuffs. Emily drinking to forget. And Beatrice. Braden was holding her upright, posing as the dutiful son-in-law. As I was dragged away, our eyes met in the reflection of the glass. I searched for my wife. I searched for the woman who knew my soul. The woman who had held my hand through bankruptcy and success, through joy and grief. But there was nothing there. Her pupils were dilated to the size of saucers swallowing the iris.
Dito.
She did not look at me with love or even recognition. She looked at me with the blank, glassy stare of a stranger. She did not blink. She did not cry out. It was as if the woman I loved had vacated her body, leaving only a shell behind. They had not just neglected her, they had erased her. And as the basement door loomed closer, I realized with a terrifying clarity that I was now a prisoner in the empire I had built.
Wow.
The heavy metal door slammed shut with a finality that echoed in my bones, leaving me in near
That's crazy.
The sound of the lock clicking into place was like a gunshot. I was alone in the cold, damp air of what used to be my wine cellar. I tried to stand, but my legs finally gave out, and I slid down the rough concrete wall, hitting the floor with a groan that tore at my surgical stitches. The room smelled of mildew and rotting cardboard. My eyes adjusted slowly to the gloom, illuminated only by a thin sliver of light, bleeding in from the gap beneath the door. This was not the climate-controlled sanctuary I had built to house vintage Bordeaux and rare scotches. The racks were gone. The temperature
Hello,
control
people.
system had been
Hello.
ripped out. In its place were piles of broken furniture, garbage bags filled with God knows what, and the unmistakable rusted shapes of old garden tools. They had turned my wine cellar into a junk room, and now I was just another piece of trash to be stored away until needed. I sat there for a moment, breathing through the pain in my chest, trying to calm the racing of my heart, before it triggered an alarm on the internal pacemaker monitoring my recovery. I needed to think. I needed a plan. But before I could formulate a strategy, the lock clicked again.
That can save
The door
him.
swung open.
The pacemaker can save him.
The frame. It was one of the guards. He was holding something, no someone. He stepped inside and unceremoniously dropped his burden onto a pile of old curtains in the corner. It was Beatrice. She landed with a soft thud, making no sound of protest, just a small whimper that broke my heart into 1,000 jagged pieces. Sweet dreams, the guard sneered. Don't make a mess. The door slammed shut again, plunging us back into the semi-darkness. I scrambled across the floor on my hands and knees, ignoring the sharp debris digging into my palms. Beatrice, I whispered, reaching out until my fingers brushed the rough fabric of her sweatshirt. Beatrice, it is me. She was shivering violently. I pulled her into my arms, trying to share whatever body warmth I had left. She felt incredibly fragile, like a bird made of hollow bones. Her skin was ice cold. I need to check you, I said softly, keeping my voice steady despite the rage boiling in my gut. I need to see if you are hurt. did not resist. She was past resisting. She lay limp in my arms, staring at nothing. I carefully rolled up the sleeves of her filthy sweatshirt. In the dim light, I saw them. Dark purple bruises encircling her wrists. They were perfect rings, the unmistakable marks of restraints. They had been tying her up, my jaw clenched so hard I felt a tooth crack. I moved my hands to her back, checking for broken ribs from Braden's kick
Ya
earlier.
no money, just
As
buy.
I lifted the hem of her shirt, I saw the imprint. A muddy tread mark stamped clearly onto her pale skin. It was the sole of a designer loafer. Braden had branded her like cattle. I gently patted her pockets, looking for anything. A weapon, a key, a phone. My hand closed around a piece of paper that had been balled up and shoved deep into the pocket of her pants. I pulled it out and smoothed it flat on the floor, angling it toward the sliver of light under the door. The handwriting was jagged and hasty, written in red marker. It was a list. Monday, morning water, evening crusts. Tuesday, morning water, evening broth. Wednesday, fasting. At the top of the page, written in capital letters, were the words, dog menu. I stared at the paper. The letters swam before my eyes. This was not just
Okay,
neglect.
here's where we come.
This was systematic torture. They were starving her. They were dehumanizing her. They were treating the woman who raised their wife, the woman who signed the checks for their first cars, like a stray animal they were trying to kill without leaving a mark. I folded the paper and put it in my own pocket. This was evidence. This was the dead bodies I would use to bury them when I got out of here. I would get out. I shifted my position, leaning back against a rusted filing cabinet. I needed to contact the outside world. Braden had taken my phone, but he didn't know everything about me. He didn't know that my paranoia, a trait that had served me well in the cutthroat world of international shipping, extended to my accessories. I pulled back the cuff of my left sleeve. I was wearing a vintage Omega Seamaster, a watch I had worn for 20 years. To the naked eye, it was just a classic mechanical timepiece.
¿Qué?
But 6 months
Frío.
ago, before I left for
¿Verdad que sí?
I had it modified by a specialist in Tel Aviv. Inside the casing beneath the gears was a microtransmitter, a GPS beacon capable of sending a distress signal to my private security team in London with a single press of the crown. I verified Beatrice was asleep, her breathing
He's getting
shallow
sick a
and
lot too.
steady. I brought the microphone close to my face. I rotated the bezel 3 times
Getting
to the
sick a
left
lot too.
and pressed the crown down for 5 seconds. A tiny red LED, usually invisible beneath the 12 o'clock marker, should have pulsed green to indicate signal lock. It pulsed red. Pulsed. Once. Twice. And nothing. I tried again. Red. My stomach dropped. No signal. I looked up at the ceiling. The floorboards above were vibrating. The bass from the party was getting louder, thumping like a second heartbeat. But that wasn't what was blocking the signal. A simple floor wouldn't stop a military-grade transmitter. Jammers. Braden had installed signal jammers. He had turned this house into a black site. He knew exactly what he was doing. This wasn't just a greedy son-in-law seizing an opportunity. This was a calculated hostile Tiaoan takeover. He had isolated the house, blocked the communications,
Yeah.
and secured the perimeter. He was running this like a prison. I lowered my wrist. Panic flared in my chest, hot and sharp. If the signal couldn't get out, no one knew I was here. My lawyer, Miss Kincaid, thought I was still in recovery in Zurich. My staff thought I was unreachable. I was a ghost. The music upstairs shifted. The heavy bass of the club music faded, replaced by the clinking of glasses and the murmur of a microphone feeding back. Speech. Someone was giving a speech. I looked around the room, searching for a weakness. The door was solid steel reinforced. The walls were concrete foundation. But this was an old house built in the 20s. The ventilation system had been retrofitted decades ago. I spotted it in the corner near the ceiling, a metal grate covered in layers of dust and cobwebs. It was the intake vent for the old gravity furnace system. The ducts were metal and metal carried sound. I dragged a heavy wooden crate.
El jefe mío, los jefes míos están enfermos los dos.
I climbed up, balancing precariously. I pressed my ear against the cold metal of the grate. The sound was tinny and distorted, echoing down through the aluminum tubes, but I could hear it. To the future.
Los dos
It
están
sounded like he
enfermos.
was standing right above me. He must be in the library directly overhead. To vision. To taking what is yours. Applause rippled through the ductwork. And specifically, Braden continued, his voice dropping to a conversational tone that carried even better than his shouting. To the deal of the century. Ladies and
Yo, porque uno no es
gentlemen, I
enfermo.
hold the deed to the new commercial complex in Dubai. A project fully funded by the Prescott Family Trust. My blood ran cold. The Prescott Family Trust held the bulk of my liquid assets. Hundreds of millions of dollars intended for charitable foundations and family security. It required 2 signatures to access, mine and a witness. But Braden, a woman's voice cut in. It was Emily. She sounded drunk, her words slurring slightly. Daddy didn't sign the release. The bank won't release the funds without the biometric authorization. I pressed my ear harder against the ground, the rust taking into my hair. Don't worry about Daddy, babe, Braden said. I could hear the smirk in his voice. Daddy is downstairs, taking a very long nap. There was a pause. The guests must have moved away, or the conversation had shifted to a more private corner because the background noise faded. What do you mean, Braden? Emily hissed. You said we were just going to keep him quiet until the power of attorney kicked in. The power of attorney takes too long, Braden replied. His voice was cold now, devoid of the charm he used for his investors. And your father is tougher than he looks. Did you see him tonight? He's lucid. He's angry. If he gets to a phone, if he gets to that shark Kincaid, we are finished. We go to jail, Emily, for fraud, for elder abuse. Do you want to go to jail? Do you want to wear orange instead of Chanel? No. Emily whimpered. No, please. Then we have to accelerate the timeline, Braden said. I have the papers ready. The do not resuscitate order. The transfer of assets due to medical incapacitation. I just need his thumbprint. And if he doesn't want to give it, he paused. The silence in the vent was deafening. If he doesn't give it, Emily asked, her voice barely a whisper. Then we pull the plug, Braden said. We say it was a heart complication. He just
Yo
had
no quiero ser
trouble like
millonaria.
this. It
You see what happened when you're a millionaire?
Old men die.
Even your own kids can
Hearts
kill
fail.
you.
Who is going to question it? The doctor on my payroll certainly won't. I gripped the grate so hard my fingers turned white. He was planning to murder me. Tonight. But he's my dad, Emily sobbed softly. He's an obstacle, Emily, Braden snapped. He's the only thing standing between us and $800 million. Now dry your eyes, go mingle. I'm going downstairs to have a little chat with him. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. I heard the heavy thud of footsteps walking away from the vent, then the sound of a door opening and closing upstairs. He was coming. I climbed down from the crate, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I looked at Beatrice curled up on the pile of rags, oblivious to the fact that her husband was about to be executed. I had maybe 5 minutes. 5 minutes before Braden came through that door with his fake papers and his hired muscle. 5 minutes to turn this prison into a fortress or a weapon. I looked around the room with new eyes. I didn't see junk anymore. I saw assets. I saw opportunity. I saw a glass wine bottle heavy and thick, collecting dust on the
Upside down again.
I saw a coil of rusty wire.
No, upside down
I saw
again.
the high voltage junction box on the wall with its cover hanging loose. I was not a helpless plastic container slid across the quartz countertop, stopping inches
Something
from
is
my
here.
hand. Inside was a congealed mess of risotto and shrimp tails from last night's party. It smelled of stale wine and neglect. Beside it sat a glass of tap water. Eat, the guard grunted, leaning against the refrigerator, already bored, scrolling through his phone. Across the island, Emily sat hunched over a steaming mug of coffee. She looked wretched. Her skin was sallow, her eyes bloodshot, likely nursing a hangover from the cheap champagne Braden had been pouring like water. She wore silk pajamas that I knew cost more than my first car, yet she looked like a prisoner in her own home. Emily. I rasped my voice, barely a whisper. Where is your mother? She didn't look up. She stared into the black liquid in her mug. She's in the garden. She likes the rain. Lies. They had left her out in the storm again. Rage flared in my chest, hot and sharp, but I pushed it down. I needed clarity. I needed an opening. Suddenly, Emily stood up, her hand flying to her mouth. She looked green. Without a word,
Well,
she rushed toward the
not
door
really.
down the hall.
Look, I'm on 45 of
She left
71.
her iPad Pro sitting on the counter. The screen was still glowing. I looked at the guard. He was laughing.
There's
at
still
someone
few.
with his phone completely checked out. This was it. I leaned forward, feigning a cough to cover the sound of the tablet sliding across the smooth stone. I pulled it close, shielding it with my body. My fingers hovered over the screen. Passcode. I didn't need to guess. Emily had used the same code since high school. 1990, her birth year. The device unlocked. I didn't go to email. I didn't check the news. I went straight to the browser and typed in the URL for Zurich Private Bank. My hands were trembling not from fear, but from a focused, lethal adrenaline. I entered my username. The password was a string of alphanumeric characters based on the hull numbers of my first 3 cargo ships, a sequence I had memorized 20 years ago. The page loaded. The spinning wheel seemed to mock me for an eternity. Then the dashboard appeared. The air left my lungs. Where there should have been a balance of
Yeah,
$15
girl,
million
that's
in
that's
liquid
crazy.
assets, there
You
was
know,
a
believe it or
single
not, I
digit.
think some of these stories are true.
Actually, it was worse. It was negative.
Scary but true.
Overdraft fees. I tapped the transaction history, eyes scanning the carnage. It was a bloodbath. Transfers of 500,000, 1 million, 2 million. All executed in the last 6 months. All authorized with a digital signature that looked exactly like mine. The destinations were a laundry list of the untraceable. Crypto.com. Binance. A dozen offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, with names like Blue Horizon and Shadowbird. They hadn't just stolen the money. They had laundered it, scattering my life's work into the digital wind. $15 million. Gone. My chest tightened. That money was the foundation. It was the pension fund for my employees. It was the security for Beatrice. Looking for something, Dad. The voice was smooth, mocking. I didn't have time to close the tab. Smelling of expensive cologne and arrogance. He looked fresh, rested, wearing a polo shirt that showed off his gym-sculpted arms. He walked right up to me and plucked the tablet from my hands, as easily as taking candy from a baby. You shouldn't be looking at screens, he said, his voice dripping with faux concern. The blue light is bad for your recovery. The doctor said you need mental rest. You stole $15 million. I said, my voice low, deadly steady. You drained the accounts. You emptied the trust. Braden laughed. He walked to the coffee machine and poured himself a cup using my favorite mug. Stole is such a harsh word, Harrison. I prefer reallocated. And besides, I didn't steal anything. You gave it to me. He reached into a leather portfolio sitting on the counter and pulled out a
These
document.
people, wow.
He slid it across the cords. Do you recognize this?
I want to be poor. Let's say poor. I don't mind. Let's say poor.
It printed Braden full At the bottom was my signature. It wasn't a forgery. It was my handwriting shaking weak through the line. I remember. I whispered the memory clawing its way through the fog of the
I'm
past.
gonna stay.
The night before the surgery, in the hospital, you said it was a hospital release form. You said they needed it just in case. And you signed it instead of taking a sip of coffee. You trusted me. The best part,
Oh
the
gosh.
incapacitation clause. It covers mental confusion, paranoia, post-operative delirium. All things you are currently suffering from according to the doctor on my payroll. Legally, Harrison, you are incompetent. I am not stealing from you. I am your guardian. He leaned in close, his smile vanishing. I own you. I own your money. I own this house. You are just a guest here. A guest we can eventually want. You think you've won, I said,
Y
meeting
ventaja.
his gaze. But you moved too fast. The IRS flags you $10,000. You moved millions. The paper trail will hang you. The accounts are in your name, Harrison. Braden countered, his eyes cold. The transfers were authorized by your signature. If anyone goes to jail
What
for
you
tax
cooking for
evasion,
Christmas?
it will be you. The senile old tycoon
What are
trying
you
to hide
cooking
his
for
assets
Christmas?
before he dies. He laughed again, a cruel, sharp sound. But don't worry about the money, Dad. The money is the least of your problems. You should be more worried about your legacy. He reached into the portfolio again. This time he pulled out a newspaper. It
Nada.
was an old issue of the Wall Street Journal folded open to the business section.
We always cook
He tossed it
something.
onto the counter right on top of the cold risotto.
Going somewhere though?
Read it, he commanded. I looked down. The headline screamed up at me in bold black letters. My heart stopped. My company, the business I had built from a single truck into a global empire. The company that fed 5,000 families. CEO Braden Miller cites gross mismanagement by founder Harrison Prescott. Hidden debts as the cause of the collapse. The subheadline read, assets to be liquidated. I felt the room spin. He hadn't just stolen my cash. He had burned my company to the ground. He had destroyed my name. You killed it, I whispered. You killed my company. I stripped it, Braden corrected. I sold the ships. I sold the warehouses. I liquidated everything that wasn't nailed down and funneled it into new ventures. Prescott Logistics is a Husk Harrison, and the world blames you. You are going down in history as a failure. He signaled to the guard. Take him back downstairs. He looked wounded. The guard grabbed my arm, hauling me off the stool. I clutched the newspaper like a shield as I was dragged away. Braden turned his back on me, pulling out his phone. Yes, I'm looking at the Bentley now. In black. He thought I was broken. He thought I was finished. But as the basement door loomed, a cold resolve settled over me. He had taken everything I had to lose, which meant I had nothing left to hold me back. He had created a monster, and soon he would meet it. The afternoon sun beat down on the back of my neck with a cruelty that felt personal. I was on my knees in the dirt of my own backyard, holding a rusty trowel that Braden had tossed at my feet an hour ago. He had told me that if I wanted to eat dinner tonight, I had to earn my keep. He said the rose bushes needed pruning and the weeds were out of control. It was a lie, of course. He didn't care about the roses. He just wanted to see Harrison Prescott, the man who once commanded fleets of container ships crawling in the mud like a peasant.
Oh my God. What a
I dug
mean
into the
son.
hard, dry earth, wincing as the motion pulled at the scar tissue on my chest. My breath came in shallow, ragged gasps. As it faded away, Beatrice sat on the grass. She was staring at a line of ants marching across a stone paver, her expression vacant and lost. She was wearing the same filthy sweatshirt, and she was humming a discordant tune that had no melody. I crawled over to her, dragging my stiff leg. The guard stationed by the back door was busy flirting with one of the housemaids and wasn't paying attention to us. Beatrice, I whispered, wiping a smudge of soil from her cheek with my thumb. It is me. It is Harrison. eyes were glazed over a milky film of dissociation that made her look like a doll left out in the rain.
This one.
I felt a surge of despair so black it almost swallowed me whole. They had broken her.
Wait.
They had taken my brilliant, vibrant wife and turned her into this shell.
No, wait, let me see something.
I reached for her hand, intending to squeeze it to offer some small comfort in this hell we were living in. As my fingers closed around hers, her humming stopped abruptly. Her hand, which had been limp a moment ago, suddenly gripped mine with a strength that shocked me. It was a vice grip, sharp and desperate. I froze. I looked at her face. Her expression hadn't changed. She was still staring at the ants. Her mouth was still slack. But her eyes had shifted. For a split second, the fog cleared. The vacancy vanished, replaced by a razor-sharp clarity that I remembered from 40 years of marriage. She wasn't looking at me directly. She was too smart for that, knowing we were being watched, but she was present. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't senile. She was playing the role of a lifetime. She was surviving the only way a defenseless woman could in a house full of wolves. She had made herself invisible by making herself pathetic. Harrison, she breathed. The word was barely a ghost of a sound, not even a whisper, just a shaping of air. I leaned in closer, pretending to adjust the collar of her shirt, shielding our faces from the guard. I am here, Beatrice, I murmured. I am going to get us out. False
All
bottom,
right,
she
upside
whispered,
down
lips
again.
barely moving. In the study. The safe. 24-10-85. My heart hammered against my ribs. 24-10-85. October 24th, 1985. Our wedding anniversary. She knew. She knew about the new safe Braden had installed. She had been watching him, listening to him, while he treated her like furniture. She had gathered intel while they mocked her. Don't react, she hissed, the old steel returning to her voice. They are watching. He is drowning Harrison. He is scared. Before I could ask what she meant, she let out a loud wailing moan and pulled her hand away from me, flapping her arms, as if she were chasing away invisible flies. She went back to rocking back to the vacant stare, back to being the crazy old maid. I sat back on my heels, stunned. My wife was a warrior. She had just handed me a weapon. I looked up toward the house. The French doors to the terrace swung open, and Braden stepped out. He wasn't wearing his usual smirk. He was wearing a bathrobe that looked disheveled, and his hair was messy. He held a phone to his ear, his knuckles white as he gripped the device. He didn't see us, or he didn't care. He paced the length of the slate patio, aggressively kicking a patio chair out of his way. I watched him closely. I had spent decades negotiating with union
That's how it
leaders,
is.
corrupt
Always it
board
is.
officials, and hostile board members. I knew how to read body language. I knew the difference
So
between
look.
a man who was in control and a
So
man
I
who
know
was in
for a
control.
fact that later on,
He was
as he
sweating
get
despite the
closer to
emotional
close this right
He
here,
was gesturing wildly with
I'm
his
gonna have to
free
build
hand.
another little bridge.
I
Watch.
dragged myself a few feet closer, moving behind a large hydrangea bush, pretending to pull weeds from the roots. I needed to hear him. I don't have it today, Braden shouted into the phone, his voice cracking. The transfer is delayed. The bank flagged it. I need more time.
Yep.
Listening to the person on the other end. His face went pale, a sickly gray color that looked terrible in the sunlight. No, you can't do that, Braden pleaded, his arrogance evaporating. Listen to me. I have the assets. I have the house. I have the old man's portfolio. It's liquid. I just need to
So
wash
now
it.
we need to figure
Give me
out
48
some of
hours.
these little things.
Please. Just 48 hours, and I will pay you double the vigorish. He stopped again. He was listening to a threat. I could tell by the way his shoulders hunched, by the way he instinctively brought his hand up to cover his throat. I will get it. Braden whispered, now terrified. I swear, do not touch her. Do not touch Emily. I will get you the cash. He ended the call and stood there shaking, staring at the phone in his hand like it was a bomb. Then he turned and hurled the device across the patio. It shattered. against the stone wall. He gripped the railing of the terrace, breathing hard, looking out toward the ocean. I stayed hidden behind the hydrangea, my mind racing. I began to do the math. The terrible, ruthless math of the criminal underworld. I had seen the accounts. Braden had drained $15 million of liquid cash. He had liquidated the company assets for probably another 20 or 30 million. He had access to a fortune. A man with $40 million at his disposal doesn't beg for 48 years. A man with that doesn't scream about paying double the interest rewards. A man who has successfully stolen an empire doesn't look like he is about to vomit from fear. Unless the money was already gone.
This one?
It didn't make sense. You can't spend $40 million
This one?
in 6 months on cars and parties.
Oh, this one, yeah.
His lavish lifestyle, the math didn't add up.
Yeah, I think that's
Unless he
Rudolph.
wasn't spending it. Unless he was paying for a mistake. Crypto. I remembered the transaction logs, the transfers to Binance and the offshore shells. He hadn't just been hiding the money. He had been investing it, gambling it. I knew the market. I knew that 6 months ago, a lot of amateur investors had leveraged themselves to the hilt, betting on speculative coins that had since crashed to zero. Braden, the arrogant real estate agent who thought he was a financial genius, had likely leveraged my fortune on a sure thing that had imploded. But banks don't threaten to hurt your wife. Banks send foreclosure notices. Braden wasn't borrowing from banks. When the market crashed and he lost my money, he must have tried to chase his losses. He must have borrowed to cover the margin calls. And when traditional lenders said no, he went to the lenders who didn't ask for credit scores. He went to the lenders who asked for collateral in blood. He owed the mob, or a cartel, or someone even worse. That was why he needed to kill me. That was why he needed the trust fund released immediately. He wasn't trying to get rich anymore. He was trying to stay alive. He was a drowning man.
I'm making a little, this is a bear.
I looked at Beatrice.
It looks
She
like,
had been right.
when I'm done, it's supposed to look like this.
Suddenly the gravel of the driveway crunched
This one.
loudly. It wasn't the sound of a delivery truck or a guest's
So I'm
heavy tires.
on the head part of it.
Toward the side gate,
So I'm like
a
probably,
Cadillac Escalade with tinted windows rolled slowly up
see.
the drive. It didn't
I'm
make
somewhere
sense.
in here.
It looked like a hearse
This is
designed
where I am right now.
It stopped right in front of the main
Yeah,
entrance,
right now.
blocking the path. The engine idled a low, menacing rumble that vibrated through the ground.
I also doing a raffle. That's how you call it, a raffle?
His eyes wide.
$2.50.
He looked like a rabbit
Um,
in the shadow of a hawk.
It's on my Facebook page
The
right here.
door didn't open.
This is
Rear window
this is $2.50. This is a raffle that I'm doing, and once I sell the numbers,
even though the day was overcast. His arm rested on the door frame. I could see the ink. Dense tribal tattoos
Yeah.
covering his wrist, extending onto the back of his hand. He didn't say a
just
word.
so people can just like whoever wants
He just took
to
off his sunglasses and looked up.
play,
His eyes were
send
dead
me
voids. He held Braden's gaze for 10 long seconds. It was a message, a silent, terrifying confirmation. We know where you live. We know you are home. Time is up. The window rolled back. The SUV reversed slowly, deliberately, kicking up dust, and then drove away down the lane, disappearing behind the manicured hedges. Braden collapsed onto a patio chair, burying his face in his hands. I looked at the gate where the car had vanished. I felt a cold chill that had nothing to do with the wind. Wolves weren't just inside the house anymore.
and you just follow the instructions.
And Braden
It tells you
was
what to
justified.
do, where to
I looked back at Beatrice.
how many bricks you need. Let's call it bricks, little bricks.
Tonight,
This is little bricks. I just stacked them together. You see? I just stacked them together because it's easier to push them down.
and now I knew
Trust me.
exactly who the real
I did it one at a time.
I wasn't just
My
fighting
first
for
time.
Brady's son-in-law.
Nope.
I was fighting for our
Not
lives
anymore.
against the clock
That would not be me.
zero. I stood up clutching the trowel. My hand wasn't shaking anymore. was digging for the truth that would bury Braden forever. The grandfather clock in the hallway chimed 3 times deep and mournful vibrations that seemed to shake the dust off the floorboards. I waited for the echo to die down. The house was finally silent. The guard Braden had posted at the top of the basement stairs was a heavy sleeper. I had listened to his breathing shift from the rhythm of a conscious man to the deep, rattling snore of the exhausted for the last hour. He was sprawled in a chair by the kitchen door, probably dreaming of how he would spend the money Braden didn't have to pay him. I pushed the basement door open.
Okay.
It moved silently on the hinges
Okay.
I had greased earlier, with
Oh.
a dab of cooking oil I'd scavenged from the trash. I stepped out into the hallway barefoot. My shoes were loud on the hardwood floors. The cold varnish bit into my soles, but I didn't care. I
Hi.
walked through the shadows of my own home like a burglar ghosting past the new gaudy sculptures and the overpriced vases Braden had bought to replace my life. The study was on the first floor down the east wing. It had been my sanctuary for 30 years, a place of oak and leather and the smell of old papers. Now, as I slipped inside and closed the door softly behind me, it smelled of stale cigar smoke and fear. I didn't turn on the light. The moonlight filtering through the heavy velvet drapes was enough. I moved to the desk. It was a monstrosity of glass and chrome completely out of place in the room. I grabbed it and went straight to the built-in bookshelves on the far wall. Beatrice had been right. The false bottom was in the cabinet where I used to keep my nautical charts. I knelt down my knees, popping audibly in the silence. I prayed no one heard. I felt along the bottom of the shelf until my fingers found the hidden catch. It clicked. The panel swung open, revealing the cold steel face of a wall safe. It wasn't the old analog safe I had used. This was new digital state of the art. Braden must have had it installed the week I left for Zurich. I stared at the keypad. The numbers glowed a faint, menacing blue. 24, 10, 85. Our wedding anniversary. October 24th, 1985, Beatrice had given me the key to my own salvation. I reached out my hand.
I don't know.
Slightly, not from
It's probably
haze, but
be, they want you to be polite. I don't know.
punched in the numbers. 2, 4, 1, 0, 8, 5. The mechanism word. A small green light flashed. The lock disengaged with a heavy mechanical thud that sounded like a thunderclap in the quiet room. I held my breath, waiting for an alarm, waiting for footsteps. Nothing. I pulled the heavy door open. I expected to see stacks of cash. I expected to see the $15 million he had drained from my accounts, maybe converted into gold or diamonds or bearer bonds. I expected to see the loot of a thief who had successfully pulled off the heist of the century. The safe was empty
You see?
of treasure. It was stuffed
It's
with paper.
coming up.
I reached in and pulled out a stack of documents bound with a rubber band. I moved to the window using a sliver of moonlight to read. The first document was a promissory note. It wasn't from a bank. It was handwritten on a sheet of legal pad paper.
Yeah.
I, Braden Miller, acknowledge a debt
To be
of
careful now.
$4 to the Emerald Syndicate. Payment due in full by November 1st.
I have to be
November
careful
1st
now
was 3
when
days
I
ago.
press.
I flipped the page. Another note. This one was typed, but the letterhead was from a shell company in Macau known for washing money for the triads. Outstanding balance $2.5 million. Interest accruing at 5% weekly. I flipped again. Gambling markers. Dozens of them. Receipts from underground casinos in Atlantic City, online betting log logs showing losses that would make a Saudi prince weep. He hadn't invested my money. He hadn't bought real estate. He had torched $15 million on bad bets and high-risk poker games, trying to fill a hole inside him that no amount of money could ever fill. He wasn't a mastermind. He was a degenerate addict. My hands shook as I dug deeper into the stack. At the bottom, I found a manila folder labeled medical comparison. I opened it. Inside was a psychiatric evaluation. It was dated 2 months ago. It was signed by a Dr. Aris, a name I didn't recognize. Patient Harrison Prescott. Diagnosis.
But definitely
advanced
my nails are
schizophrenia,
gone.
Rapid onset dementia.
My nails are gone.
Patient exhibits violent tendencies, delusions of persecution, and inability to manage financial or personal affairs.
My nails are
Recommend
gone.
immediate and permanent conservatorship. Prognosis: terminal mental decline. It was a fabrication, a complete work of fiction designed to strip me of my rights. This was the gun they were holding to my head. With this paper, they could lock me away in a facility.
Yeah, so I have to be careful.
They could drug me until I really was a
This
vegetable.
point right here,
They
it
could
tends to
legally kill me
detach.
without ever pulling a trigger. I felt a wave
And
of nausea.
I don't have the
This
glue.
was
I
premeditated.
don't have
This wasn't
glue.
just about
I have glue, but that glue
This was
doesn't
about
really
erasing
work
a human being.
at all.
I reached back
At all.
into the safe to see if there was anything else. My fingers brushed against cold plastic. It was a phone.
No, doesn't work at all.
Cheap disposable burner phone, black and nondescript. I pulled it out. The battery was low, the screen dim. I pressed the power button. It booted up, showing a generic wallpaper. There were no apps,
Let
no
me see if there's
contacts
something
saved.
there that I didn't
Just
do.
one message thread. I opened it. The most recent text had come in 20 minutes ago. You are out of time, Braden. We know you are in the house. We know the old man is back. We don't care about your family drama. We want our money. I scrolled up. Please, I need another day. Just one day I have the assets locked down, Braden had replied 3 hours ago. The response from the unknown number was chilling in its simplicity. You have 24 hours. Send the coin, or we send a courier for your wife's finger. The left one, with the ring. I stared at the glowing screen. The air in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. They weren't coming for Braden. They were coming for Emily. He had used his own wife, my daughter, as collateral for his gambling debts. He had put a price on her head to buy himself time. This was the leverage. This was the truth that would shatter the lies he had spun for her. Emily thought he was a stressed businessman protecting the family fortune. She didn't know he had sold her safety to butchers. I slipped the phone into my pocket. This was it. This was the smoking gun. With this, I could destroy him. I could show Emily exactly who she was sleeping next to. I grabbed the medical file and the debt notes, shoving them into the waistband of my trousers beneath my shirt. I had to get back to the basement. I had to hide this. I turned to leave. Click. The sound of the door latch lifting froze me in place. The library door creaked open. A shaft of light from the hallway cut across the room, blinding me for a second. The figure stood in the doorway, silhouetted against the light. It was Emily. She was wearing a silk robe, her hair loose around her shoulders. Her face was pale, her eyes wide and dark with insomnia. But it wasn't her presence that stopped my heart. It was what she was holding. In her right hand, gripped tight enough to turn her knuckles white, was a paring knife. A sharp 4-inch blade she must have taken from the wet bar. She stepped into the room, kicking the door shut behind her, with her heel plunging us back into the semi-darkness. Daddy, she whispered. Her voice was trembling, fragile as glass. I stood still, my hands raised slowly. Emily, I said softly. It is me. Put the knife down. She didn't lower it. She raised it, pointing the tip at my chest. She looked terrified. She looked frightened. Braden said you would try to escape, she said, tears spilling from her eyes. He said you were having an episode. He said you might get violent. He said I had to protect the family. She took a step closer, the knife wavering in the air between us. Emily, look at me, I said, keeping my voice level, fighting the urge to rush her. Look at your father. Do I look crazy to you? Or do I look like a man who just found out his son-in-law sold you to the mob? She blinked, confusion warring with the fear in her eyes. What? I slowly reached into my pocket and pulled out the burner phone. I am not the one you need to protect yourself from Emily, I said, holding the phone out to her like an offering. Read this. She hesitated, the knife still pointed at my heart. Read it. I commanded my voice sharpening with the authority I hadn't used in years. Read what your husband thinks you are worth. She reached out with a free hand, her eyes never leaving my face, and took the phone. She looked down at the screen. I watched her face as she read the message. I watched the moment her world ended. The paring knife clattered to the hardwood floor with a sound that seemed deafening in the silence of the library. It bounced once, spinning on its handle before coming to rest against the leg of the heavy oak desk. Emily did not look at it. She did not look at me. Her eyes were locked on the small glowing screen of the burner phone in her hand. I watched the blood drain from her face. It started at her lips, turning them a pale, ghostly gray, and spread upward until she looked like a wax statue. Her breathing hitched, catching in her throat, like she had forgotten how to inhale. She read the message once, then she read it again. I could see her eyes darting back and forth, scanning the brutal words that reduced her existence to a bargaining chip. A finger, the left one with the ring. She let out a sound that was half sob and half retch. Her knees buckled, and she slid down the front of the desk, collapsing onto the Persian rug in a heap of silk and misery. The phone slipped from her fingers and landed on the carpet. I did not move to comfort her. Not yet. The time for coddling was over. Coddling was what had gotten us here. I needed her to break completely so I could rebuild her into something stronger. He does not love you, Emily, I said, my voice cold and hard, cutting through her sobbing. He does not even see you. To him, you are not a wife. You are not a partner. You are a shield. You are a piece of meat he is throwing to the wolves to buy himself another 24 hours of life. She shook her head violently, her hands covering her ears, as if she could block out the truth.
Okay.
No, she won't. No, he is stressed. He is in trouble, but he wouldn't let them hurt me. He already has, I countered, stepping closer, looming over her. He drained $15 million from my accounts in 6 months. Do you know where that money went? It did not go into this house. It did not go into his failed real estate deals. It went into the digital void. Gambling, high-risk loans. He burned through a fortune that took me 40 years to build, and he did it with a smile on his face while he poured you cheap champagne. I kicked the knife away, sending it sliding under the sofa. He is desperate, Emily. A desperate man has no loyalty. He has sold you. That text message is a receipt. You are the collateral for his bad bets. And when the sun comes up, if
No,
he does
something
not
is
have the
not
money,
right.
they are coming for you.
Doesn't make sense.
You. Emily looked up at me then. Her mascara was running down her cheeks in black streaks. Her face was twisted in a rictus of agony, but beneath the pain I saw something else. I saw shame. Deep, corroding shame. She didn't look surprised enough. The realization hit me like a physical blow. She knew.
Something
Not
is
about
not
the
right.
phone, not about the finger, but she knew
All
there
right,
was no
okay.
hope. She had
Now
known
fine.
for a long time. You knew, didn't you? I whispered, kneeling down so I was eye level with her. You knew he was a fraud. Emily closed her eyes, and fresh tears squeezed out. I knew he had someone else, she whispered, her voice barely audible. The air in the room felt suddenly heavy. Who, I asked. Her name is Jessica, she said, the name tasting like poison in her mouth. She is 22.
Awesome.
for a man who wants to cut off my finger. Her confession hung in the air, ugly and raw. She had traded her dignity and her parents' safety for the illusion of a happy marriage. It was pathetic. It was infuriating. And it was exactly the kind of weakness Braden had exploited. But looking at her broken on the floor, I didn't see a villain. I saw a victim. A foolish, vain victim, but my daughter nonetheless. And I would be damned if I let her die for his sins. I took her hands in mine and pulled them away from my shirt. I held them tight, forcing her to look at me. Listen to me, Emily. Listen closely. The man upstairs is not your husband. He is a parasite. And right now that parasite is hosting a party while executioners wait outside the gate. We do not have time for tears. We do not have time for regret. I picked up the burner phone and pressed it into her palm, closing her fingers around it. You have a choice, I said, my voice low and urgent. You can stay here on the floor and wait for them to come for you. You can wait for Braden to sacrifice you. Or you can stand up. You can wipe your face and you can kill him. Her eyes
If I try to hit this, the last sign,
not with a knife, I said, glancing at the
the
weapon.
hole.
We are not savages. We are going to kill him with the one thing he fears more than death. We are going to kill him with the truth. We are going to strip him of every dollar, every lie, and every ounce of protection he thinks he has. We are going to leave him naked before the law and before the men he owes. I need you to do exactly what I say. Can you do that? She took a shuddering breath. She looked down at the phone, then at the door, then back at me. The trembling in her hands began to subside, replaced by a spark of anger. It was
Alright,
faint.
this
but
is
it
where
was
we are
there.
right now.
What do you need? She asked.
So this is
I need to make a
number
call, I said. Braden was jamming the
48.
signals in the house.
48 out of 71. That's where
With
we are
this
now.
phone, I tapped the burner in her hand. This phone is his lifeline to the mob. He must have whitelisted it, or it is on a frequency the jammers don't block. I need to call Miss Kincaid. I need to activate the Omega protocol. Emily nodded, wiping her face with the sleeve of her silk robe. Okay, make the call.
Yeah, yo también me voy.
No, I said. Not here.
Igual tú,
It
mamá,
is too
cuídate.
quiet. If he
Good
checks the
night.
network logs, if he comes down, I need a distraction. I need you to go out there. I need you to be his wife one last time. I need you to keep him occupied for 10 minutes. Can you do that? Can you look at the man who sold you and smile? Emily stood up. She smoothed her robe.
23
She
more
adjusted her
lines.
hair. She walked to the mirror in the corner.
Rows, not
and
lines.
wiped the black
Rows.
streaks from her cheeks.
So we had
When she turned back,
23
she
more
looked
to go.
pale but composed. The mask was back in place, but this time she wasn't wearing it.
I mean, I did a lot. Because I
She was
think when
wearing
I
it for us. I can do it,
when
she
I
said.
came in, I was like here.
For Mom and for my finger.
So we have done a lot.
She reached for the door handle. Boom, boom, boom. The heavy wood of the library door shook under 3 violent impacts. Emily froze, her hand hovering inches from the brass knob. I pressed myself against the wall into the shadows behind a tall bookcase, my heart slamming against my ribs. Emily opened the door. It was Braden. His voice wasn't charming anymore. It was tight, agitated, and suspicious. I know you're in there, Emily, he shouted, pounding again. I heard voices. Who are you talking to? Open the damn door right now. He rattled the handle. It was locked from the inside. I looked at Emily. Her eyes were wide with panic. She looked at me for instruction. I put a finger to my lips and signaled for her to open it. We had no choice. If he broke it down, he would see me. If she opened it, we might have a chance to blow. She took a deep breath.
I think this is like a little fox, right? Like this right here, like a little fox.
The door
Who
flew
knows?
open.
So
Braden
we
stood
come back
there, filling the
tomorrow. Thank
He
you
was
very
sweating,
much for
his tie
staying
loosened, his
here
eyes
with
darting
us.
around the dark room. He looked past Emily, scanning the shadow. Who is in
Let's see.
here? He demanded, pushing past her. I heard whispering. Is it the old man? Did he get out? He took a step toward the desk, toward where I was hiding. Emily stepped in front of him, blocking his path.
Good night.
It was me, Braden, she said, her voice steady, loud enough to cover the sound of my breathing.